Hi, and welcome to this episode of Our Guest Is, presented by My East Coast Experience Media in partnership with RBC. Our Guest Is introduces us to a resilient group of people, typically called immigrants, but perhaps better described as entrepreneurs, community builders, and survivors. In each episode, we'll be hearing all about their journeys to Canada's East Coast in their own words. Today, our guest is Christine Qin Yang. Christine, just a little bit of background for our listeners. You're originally from Fujian, China, and you studied at the Fujian Agriculture and Forestry University with a double major in business and agriculture. And when you came to Halifax, you attended Mount St. Vincent University, graduated in 2015, and you're currently enrolled at DAL. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. You supported the Nova Scotia government on international trade missions, which sounds super cool, and we'll ask you about that shortly. But you currently hold the position of Manager of Market Development at the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture for the government of Nova Scotia, and you were honored as one of the most inspiring immigrants in Atlantic Canada in 2021. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much, Natalie, for the introduction.
So I guess we'll get started by just telling us about your journey to Atlantic Canada.
Yes, certainly. So my journey to Atlantic Canada started 10 years ago. I came to Halifax as an international student to finish my 2+2 program, like the last 2 years of my bachelor study. So I studied, as you mentioned, the business administration program at the Mount St. Vincent University. That's how I started.
And you liked the Mount because, you Googled a picture of where it was located, and you're like, oh, it's right on the ocean, because where you're from in China was on the east coast of China, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you know about that story. That's actually the truth. And so when I had few choice when I was choosing a university to study it in Canada. So some in BC, some in Alberta, and we also have some options in Nova Scotia. And when I Google it, Mount St. Vincent University is right next to the Bedford Highway, and there's the ocean, and it really reminds me of home. And my hometown is also a coastal province, so ocean has always made me feel like open and embracing. So that's why I choose the Mount. And also it's a small school, and I feel like I can really be part of something.
I've heard that about the Mount, that the class sizes are relatively small, and then there's the aspect of, there's more of a focus on female education, I think, too, because at one point it was an all-female university, if I'm correct.
Yes,
a long time ago.
So Mount St. Vincent University is very unique. It's one of the first institutions in Canada educated women. So I'm very proud. That's another reason why I choose the Mount, because how much the school dedicated to educate women and then empower women.
Was it a surprise when you arrived in Halifax? I mean, I guess when you think about living on the east coast of Canada compared to the east coast of China, what surprised you the most when you saw our east coast?
Let me think. I think what surprised me the most is how close the community it is. I know is Nova Scotia, we have a smaller population than my hometown, but at the same time, I didn't realize how close the community is, how much people are familiar with each other, and then from a conversation, you will end up to knowing someone is friends with someone or went to high school with someone, that kind of a community sense.
Yeah, I always think Halifax is like a little big city, right?
Exactly.
Because you're right, there's so many connections that people have, but yet it's growing so fast, and it's still sort of stretched out enough that you could, go to the mall without taking a shower, and you won't run into someone that you went to high school with.
Exactly.
So isn't the population, though, of Fujian like over 38 million? Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think it's growing. So thinking about my province population is like the population of Canada.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's the difference.
Oh, totally. So why did you choose to stay in Atlantic Canada? Because, you come to school here as an international student, but, you could move away to a different city or a different province altogether or a different country altogether. So why did you choose to stay in Atlantic Canada?
Exactly. So at the beginning, after I graduated from school, I did think about to move away to bigger city like Toronto or Vancouver. And then I realized this is kind of like my home in Canada. The people here, when I first came here, I know nobody beside my university's faculty and teachers. But these people are the people who helped me right after I graduated from school to connect me with different organizations and who taught me how to networking. And from my homestay family to the friends I made, everyone is helping me. And I had my network here, and that's why I decided I want to stay here because it's almost feel like home, and this is my connection here.
And when you arrived here, did you find it a little bit of a challenge to, I don't say fit in, but, were you hesitant, shy? I mean, what was your feelings when you got to the Mount, when you got to Halifax?
Yeah, glad you ask. When I first arrived in Canada, my English wasn't very good, and I was a little bit shy and a little bit more introvert. And I remember a funny story, everyone is ordering drinks in front of Tim Hortons, and then I will be so nervous because there's a long line behind me. So every time I remember there's 2 drink options, either double or French vanilla, because it's easy just say the words rather than just order a long order is complicated.
Like a Starbucks order.
Exactly.
It's easier at Tim Hortons.
Yeah, so every time I will be like French vanilla or double.
Did you even like doubles? Because that's a taste. You gotta have a taste for that.
At the beginning, I like it, but once you order too many, it's very sweet. So I have to challenge myself to learn more vocabulary.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Your first professional role was with the Halifax Partnership Collector Program. Can you tell us more about how you landed that role and just about the program itself?
Yeah, so about the Connector program, how I was a connectee at the beginning because I was trying to build my network in Halifax. So I enrolled the program as a connectee and was able to connect with a connector and learn so much more about networking in Halifax. And eventually I attended to so many networking events, and the program is also happened to have opportunity to hire a program coordinator. And then someone from the team reached out to me, say, Christine, I think this will be a great opportunity for you. You should apply. And I did apply, and then I find that's a perfect first position for me because I had the opportunity to help other newcomers and also international students just like myself to build a connection and meet with business and community leaders in Halifax and to learn more about the business and communities, industries, and also public sector insight, and then to expand their network.
I guess they were pretty appreciative because you obviously have the experience of being an international student. And what advice did you sort of pass along to them?
And one advice I had is also to myself is really need to get out of my comfort zone. For example, networking, it could be terrifying for some people. How do you get out there by knowing nobody and to just professionally and exchange business card, doing handshake, start a conversation. So that's very challenging at the beginning. That's something I will always recommend people to do and to attend networking event, connect with someone. And right now with COVID world, it's really important to reaching out to people in a creative way through LinkedIn or
Yeah. I know networking is not my most favorite thing. It is really challenging, and I can imagine if maybe English isn't your first language, that now you're thrown into this, really important social event for your career, and you want to talk to people, but maybe there is that barrier. Did you find that too? I mean, coming from that shy sort of background that you were describing earlier, did you really find it hard to just break out of that shell when you were networking?
Yes, certainly, because I think sometimes I describe it as I really had to have the thick skin to be brave and to feel more confident to talk and started a conversation. And And I think it's really, one thing I find is very important is really consider yourself as part of the community to learn more about what's happening in Halifax, in Nova Scotia, in Canada, because I found for many immigrants and international graduates like myself, at the beginning we may find ourselves as an outsider, but it's so important to don't consider ourselves as an outsider, and to really think we are part of this community. And when you talk to someone, and you will feel more engaged, and then you will feel more open to talk about and start a conversation.
Mm-hmm. That's really good advice for really anyone, I think, too. So you're connecting people and international students with other people in the industries and businesses, but who are your mentors? Who do you look up to when you're trying to either break that shell through networking, or just who you look up to for your career?
Yeah, and I think I was and I am very fortunate to have many wonderful mentors. Some mentors I had is through like a mentorship program many years ago from Fusion, and I also have like informal mentor. For example, my former university president, she's a friend of mine, and she always give me wonderful advice. And also sometimes like right now I work at public sector, and then sometimes we're reaching out to colleagues asking them for advice, and although they don't have the formal mentor kind of title, but they are kind of mentoring me and giving me advice.
Do you hope to be a mentor for someone, maybe an international student, or an immigrant, or just anyone in the Atlantic Canada area?
Yes, actually, I was a mentor through the Agenova's mentorship program to help international students to adapt to the culture here, to learn about the business environment here, and it was a wonderful experience.
Excellent. Going back to your supportive role with the Nova Scotian government that I mentioned when I was introducing you, the international trade missions to China, Japan, and Korea, you were there with Premier Stephen McNeil when he was Premier. Can you tell us about some highlights from your work with the province? It sounds like a really cool experience.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful experience, especially myself as someone who is from Asia, and to be able to build my first home and the second home, Nova Scotia, together to build the bridge, and I find like trade so important. At the same time, it's important the people-to-people exchange, and to be able to help the people from both sides to understand each other. And I find it's very rewarding.
Did anything happen on the trip that you can tell us about that stood out as maybe a different experience that you've never had before, or just something that was eye-opening to you?
Yeah, I have a cute little story. So this one time I was in Tokyo. We were promoting Nova Scotia, our trade and investment opportunity on the way. And after we finished the meeting, myself and my colleague, we were walking on the street of Tokyo, and then randomly I spot a car with a very famous Nova Scotia seafood brand's logo on it, and then big lobster. And at the moment, myself and my colleague, we were so excited because even you are so far away from home, and in one of the biggest city, Tokyo, and then you get to see a little bit Nova Scotia there. That moment, I feel is very meaningful, the work I'm doing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so weird.
Yeah, right?
It was a small world, I guess, in a lot of ways. I wanted to talk about anti-Asian hate crimes in Canada. I was reading online that, they jumped 300% during the first year of COVID-19 pandemic. And you have spoken out on how Halifax could work to prevent these hate crimes from happening in the future here and really across the country. Can you tell us more about this and what you think can be done to help stop these hate crimes from continuing?
Yeah, thank you for asking. And definitely since the pandemic, we see increasing number of anti-Asian hate, including hate crime, but also more than hate crime. One issue it is not all the anti-Asian hate crime or incident are reported to the police, and due to different layer of reasons. And so that's why I was advocating and asking the city we can do two more things better. One is we should have more data collection, the race and gender-based data collection related to anti-Asian incidents. So when there's an incident happen, for advocates or the policymaker, they really know the number and can make a business case to can advocate for this issue. Second one, I think it's really important for us to address anti-Asian racism. Even in a very friendly East Coast, this is existing, and it's important for us to to find more resources to support the Asian community here in the Atlantic Canada.
And you recognize that other bigger cities, I think it was New York, they are obviously more active in stopping these hate crimes from happening. How do they do it, and how do you think Halifax could use their plan?
Yeah, so in New York City, actually, they have a Human Rights Commission have a number of campaign and action to fight to combat anti-Asian racism. One thing I find very touching is they connect with Asian artists and have a campaign poster about anti-Asian racism, and the poster is all around the city. And when I was in New York, actually this September, I see the poster everywhere. I can't stop taking photo, and because I find it so meaningful. And some posters say, this is our home too, and with a beautiful poster design. And I think that's something very easy we can do to increase awareness of and also address anti-Asian racism, to have such poster and campaign around the city or the public space to talk about the anti-Asian racism issue.
And you were able to talk to counselors about this in Halifax, were you?
Yes, through my role as the vice chair of the Halifax Women's Advisory Council, I was able to present the issue of anti-Asian racism to the Women's Advisory Committee and also to the Executive Council of Halifax.
And what was their temperature like? I mean, what was their reaction when you were telling them, or?
Yeah, so it started with the Women's Advisory Committee. It was in the spring of 2021, after the tragedy incident happened in the Atlanta, Georgia, the shooting to the Asian women. And then as a follow-up, I decided I would like to took the opportunity to speak out on the issue of anti-Asian racism. Yeah. And I was very glad the support I received from the Women's Advisory Committee, and they also encouraged me to bring out this important issue to the City Council. So I'm very glad to have the Watch Committee's support.
Excellent. You were the vice chair of the Women's Advisory Committee, as you just said, for the city of Halifax. So why is it important for you to be involved in making the city a more inclusive place to live and work?
Yeah, so I think it's wonderful to have opportunity as such to be able to speak out on the issue that matter to me. And also as a racialized woman and also immigrant, sometimes we don't see many people look like ourselves sitting on different board or the leadership position. So I believe it would be great to see more racialized women taking a role in the board, agency, and commissions for the municipal and also provincial level, and also see more women like myself in the leadership role, because I really believe you can be who you cannot see. So that's my hope.
That's excellent. And kind of going down that road of maybe being a mentor for other young ladies or, young international students that have that same thought of, I want to see more people like me, and how can I do this? And here you are, and you can be a mentor for them.
Exactly, thank you.
In your opinion, and based on your experience, why should an international student studying here stay in Atlantic Canada?
I think, first of all, Atlantic Canada, for a young person, we really offer like kind of unique lifestyle. We have beautiful scenery here in Atlantic Canada, so close to the ocean. And also, for example, here in Halifax, we also have like kind of urban lifestyle. It's a wonderful combination. So it's a wonderful place to live. At the same time, in Halifax and also other area of the Atlantic region, the community is growing. The business community is growing. Let's offer like growing job opportunity. And last but not least, I think the people, like how friendly and how welcoming the people here in the East Coast.
How do you think the government, or even just the regular population, can accept and attract international students and immigrants to live here? Do you have any thoughts, from your experience moving here and now staying here? How can we attract more people to come here, either to study or to live?
Yeah, I think we already did a wonderful, good job to attract more and more immigrants and international students here in Atlantic Canada. But at the same time, I think important to the next challenge for us is how do we retain these newcomers and also international students. One key issue is how can we build the community, let people feel a sense of belonging. So that's something I think everyone we should be focusing on to make newcomers and also international students feel like home here.
When you were recognized as the most inspiring immigrant, or one of the most inspiring immigrants in Atlantic Canada, what did it mean to you to be recognized with that honor?
It was really honored to be recognized as like one of the most inspiring immigrants in Atlantic Canada. It means a lot to myself and also my family. I remember I came to Atlantic Canada just with my classmate, but basically it's by myself to build my own career and making new friends and everything. So it was not an easy journey, but at the same time, I think it really also is a great motivation for me how to keep going. And this is my second home, and I really appreciate the recognition for my second home.
And you mentioned your family. So what does your family think of your new home here in Halifax, Atlantic Canada, and where your journey has taken you so far?
I was very fortunate. My parents actually got the opportunity to visit me actually 5 years ago in Atlantic Canada. So they saw the firsthand of how friendly, how nice, welcoming the people here are. And they feel very happy, and they always mention like how lucky I am, like come here by myself, but I had the opportunity to have the mentor and have the people around me like being so supportive to my career and to my personal growth.
Were they scared for you a little bit, as your family might be a little worried that you're going off to a totally different part of the world? Were they scared, hesitant?
Yeah, at the beginning, like I remember before I came to Canada, my mom really don't want me to come to Canada, and actually my visa was rejected once. So, but because I really want to come to Canada, so we reapplied, and then I ended up becoming a Canadian citizen now, and I think right now, like my parents, they are very supportive, and then with my work and with my experience, everything, my dad sometimes will joke about it. He said, "You are a global citizen, so you belong to the world, not just our home."
What do you think you'd be doing now if you didn't come to Halifax, or if you came here, studied, and moved back to your hometown? Hard to think, I guess, about, that other alternate reality that you could have had too. Do you think you'd be working for the government or having, that that mentor ability, whether having a mentor or eventually being a mentor for others?
Yeah, I think definitely it's important to connect with other people, and also I think I always have that sense of the connect globally, connect internationally in my mind. So that would be a direction like I will keep having.
Yeah, because you liked business more than anything else, right? When you were studying, you kind of leaned toward business because it was more practical and more sort of your thing. You thought yourself as a people person too?
Exactly. So yeah, it's interesting kind of at the beginning when I came to Canada, I was very shy, introvert, and eventually I grow, and then I like my favorite things right now is really connecting with people, and I like my job. I'm able to connecting with people.
And doubles.
Doubles too.
Or you still like them.
Yeah.
If you could redo your immigration to Canada, is there something that you would change?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I was a little bit introvert at the beginning and always order like double. Like if I can redo it, I really will challenge myself to get out of my comfort zone and try different kind of drink and making more friends, and then really get myself out there to connect with people. And yeah, so that will be something I would do differently.
Yeah. It's always those little things, I guess, right? Just ordering a different drink, or learning maybe a different thing about the city, something like that.
Exactly, like be part of more in the university and different kind of volunteer activity, and ready to be part of community. And that would be something I would do like earlier.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Christine, and thank you to everyone joining us for today's episode of Our Guest Is. If you don't want to miss the next episode, make sure you subscribe. You can find us on myeastcoastexperience.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and YouTube. Plus, don't forget you can follow My East Coast Experience on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Thanks again, and hope you join us for our next episode.